Good morning, students. Welcome in HCP practical. Today's I will start the experiment number 20. In previous practical, we have seen the experiment number 18 and 19. That is to determine the number of threads per 10 centimeter of absorbent cotton ribbon gauge BP. And experiment number 19 is the to determine weight per unit area of absorbent cotton ribbon gauge BP. Now I will start the experiment number 20, that is to determine sulfated ash of absorbent cotton wool. In that, prior concept is ash value and its types. Then new concept, that is sulfated ash value detection and its significance. Now what is the sulfated ash? Sulfated ash test utilize a procedure not volatilized from a sample. When the sample is ignited in the presence of sulfuric acid, the test is usually used for the determining the content of inorganic impurities in the organic substance. Then ash value is residue remaining after increasing in the ash content of the drug. Then inorganic salt of carbonates, then phosphate, silicate of sodium, then potassium, calcium and magnesium. It is known as the ash content. Then ash value is the criteria of judge the identity or purity of the crude drug. Then types of the ash value. Total ash value. First is total ash value, second acid insoluble ash value, third is sulfated ash value and last is water soluble ash value. Now see, the first is total ash value. In total ash value useful for the detecting crude drugs that are mixed with the minerals like sand, soil, calcium oxalate, chalk powder of the drugs with different organic contents to improve the appearance and for example ginger. Okay, then second is acid insoluble ash value. In that, it is used for the determination of earthy matter present on the roots, rhizomes and also on the leaves. Then crude drugs contains calcium oxalate. The amount may varies depending on the environment condition. Then third is sulfated ash value. In that it is used for the detection of low grade products. Then water soluble ash value. It is used to detect either material exhausted by the water or not. That is tea leaves, then ginger, rhizomes. Okay. Acid soluble ash value, in that is AIA, that is acid insoluble ash. The content is the proportion of a sample that is not hydrolyzed by the 72% sulfuric acid is the not subsequently volatilized upon the insertion of this acid insoluble residue. Okay. Then significance of ash value. Significance of ash value is the method is generally used when the standardization is not done satisfactory by chemical or physical methods. Then when the quantity of the drugs or samples are very less, then the drugs are evaluated by the biological method. Then third is these methods are performed on the living animals, isolating living organs and tissue, animal preparations and microorganism, that is biopsy. Okay, these are the significance of ash value. First is the method is generally used when the standardization is not done satisfactory by the chemical or physical method. Then when the quantity of the drugs or sample are very less, then the drugs are evaluated by the biological method. Then these methods are performed on the living animals, then isolating living organ, then tissue, animal preparation and microorganism, that is biopsy. Okay. Then next is what is the incineration? Incineration is the process of control and complete combustion for burning solid wastage. It leads to energy recovery and destruction of the toxic wastage. Then in this plant the recyclable material is segregated and the rest of the material is burned. Then for example waste from the hospitals. In some newer installations designed to the operate at temperature high enough to produce the molten materials, it may be possible to reduce the volume about the 5% or less ever less. Okay, then next is one of the most attractive features of the incineration procedure is that can be used to reduce the original volume of the combustible solid wastage by the solid waste by 80 to 90%. Okay, then general concept structure of this experiment is heat a silica crucible to redness, then allow to cool and wet it, then transfer a specified cotton wool to crucible and ignite it, then cool and misten it with the sulfuric acid, then next is ignite it at 800 degrees Celsius per plus minus 55 degrees Celsius until all black particles disappears. Then allow it to cool and add a few drops of sulfuric acid and heat. Then ignite, allow it to cool and weigh. Then repeat the operation unit until two successive weighings to do not differ by the more than 0.5 mg. Okay, these are the general concept structure of sulfated ash of absorbent cotton wool. Then learning objective of this experiment is intellectual skill and motor skill. In the intellectual skills to understand the concept of sulfated ash. Then second is to interpret the result. Then motor skills are ability to heat, cool and weigh a silica crucible. Then ability to ignite the absorbent cotton wool. Then ability to record the reading. Then next is apparatus, glasswares and chemicals. In glasswares are silica crucible, tripod stand, burner and desiccator. Then chemicals, sulfuric acid and absorbent cotton wool. Then these are the diagram of desiccator. Upper part of desiccator is lead, then middle below the lead desiccator, then china dish with material on the percolated plate, then and below dehydrating agent below the desiccator. uh, then desiccator are used to store the weighing bottles that we have sorry desiccator are used to store the weighing bottles that have dried chemicals in them. Then desiccators maintain a constant low humidity. It take overnight for chemicals or glasswares to equilibrate to this state of standard dryness. Okay, when the indicator in the desiccant change the color, it is time to recycle it. Okay, desiccators are used to store the weighing bottles that have dried chemical in them. Then desiccators maintain a constant low humidity. It take overnight for chemical or glassware to equilibrate to this state of standard dryness. Then when the indicators in the desiccant changes the color, it is time to recycle it. Okay. Then stepwise procedure. As per IP 1996, sulfated ash is absorbent cotton wool should not more than 0.5% of weight by weight. Then ash contain inorganic radicals like phosphate and silicates of sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, etc. Then inorganic impurities in the sample should be minimum, so sulfated ash should be minimum for the maximum purity of sample. Then sulfated ash convert ore oxides and carbonates to sulfate salt. Then first step is heat a silica crucible to redness for the 10 minutes, then allow it to cool in a desiccator and weigh. Then transfer the 5 gram of absorbent cotton wool to the crucible and weigh the crucible and content accurately. Then ignite gently as at first until the substance is thoroughly charred. Okay, then cool moisten the residue with 1 ml of sulfuric acid, then heat gently until the white fumes are no longer evolved and ignite at 800 degrees Celsius plus minus 25 degrees Celsius until all black particles have disappeared. Then that is use analytical reagent grade of the commerce containing about 98% of the weight by weight of sulfuric acid and 18 in the strength as per IP 1996. Then conduct the ignition in the place protected from the air current. Then allow the crucible to cool. Add a few drops of sulfuric acid and heat it. Then ignite as before, allow to cool and wait. Then repeat the operation until two successive weighings do not differ by the more than 0.5 mg. That is partially constant weight. Then record the final weight of crucible with ash. Then observe, write down your observation. That is, first is weight of empty crucible, that is x. Then weight of crucible with sample, that is y. Then weight of crucible with sulfated ash, that is z. Then weight of sample is y minus x. Y is the weight of crucible with sample and x is the weight of empty crucible. Then weight of sample is weight of sulfated ash, that is y z minus x. Z is the weight of crucible with sulfated ash and x is the weight of empty crucible. Okay. And then calculation part, write down here the calculation. Then last is the result. Okay. Then write down here your result of this experiment, and here are the important questions of this experiment. After watching this video, you all students are able to answer this question. Okay. Now I will stop here. Thank you.